Ladies, gentlemen, and our NB comrades, welcome back here to another game in the lower division of the South American DPC. We are in the finale of this best of 3 series. The Wolf team taking on the side of Balrogs Esports. Whoever wins this one game will claim not just the victory on the game itself, but the all-important wins in the round robin. Get you closer and closer to elevating yourself into the upper division of the South American DPC. It's quite a journey to go on. It's quite important games. To bring you this action, it's myself, Snare, and the queen, the empress of Dota 2, Kips. How are you feeling about what the series has been like, and what do you expect for this third game?
Oh, well, I was talking about how Balrogs might need to try something new because they got found out, but they say, no, we did it right the first time, and the second time we didn't have a good enough basket to put all of our eggs in. And in a lot of ways, I agree there. Sven is definitely a lot more conditional than a Medusa. You can't just put Sven in the middle of whatever's going on and win the fight, and you can totally do that with a Medusa. Much easier to execute with the Weaver. But at the same time, I wonder if our way isn't going to be ready for them this time around. They've played this roughly same game a couple of times now, especially if they take out something like the Kunkka right now. You have a lot less options for the damage reduction. Your cooldowns are most likely going to go up. I hope Balrog has some twist for us in the second phase here.
Yeah, we'll definitely
and a Ursa ban.
Oh gosh. They're prepared. They need to be ready. One thing I find really interesting about the matchup as well, though, it's always cool when the first match that a team plays in the DPC itself is the last match that they played in the qualifiers. So you sort of have to demonstrate that it wasn't a fluke, that you got yourselves in the easy way, at the very least on the side of our way, aka Wolf team. For Balrogs, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for them. They've done this matchup many times, and looking at all their previous games, this seems to be the strategy that works best for them. So now I'm also wondering, if we don't have Kunkka, and even if he is available, do you think RoboZ will say, yo, let's play this 3 times in a row? By now, surely they should feel like they've been figured out a little bit as to what that hero brings to the playstyle and to the field.
I mean, sure, but RoboZ and Kunkka are kind of married. It's like, if you ask him to, do you want to play Kunkka another time? He's like, hell yeah. You see, there goes the ban. Like, if we don't ban this, he's just gonna play it again.
You know, we don't want to break up a happy home, so we understand. We get it. So without the
just a
Kunkka,
timeout.
what goes there now in this situation? Given that you still want a hero that's able to soak up beef, create some opportunities for Dusa to get big, take some heat and attention off of her, but still lane well against the Invoker. Like, what other RoboZ heroes does he have if he is stepping out on his partner, the Kunkka, for a little bit?
Truth be told, most of the rest of his heroes are actually active playmakers. Like, he plays a whole bunch of the spirits, of course, especially the Storm and the Ember. He's got a history of playing things like Puck in the right matchups, Templar, Assassin, but TA is definitely not advisable this game, seeing as that there is already a carry, and TA really only accepts it if the game is about her. It gets a lot harder here. I imagine that they're going to wait for the end for him here and get most of their empowerments out of the offlane now. And that could be another Brewmaster, unless Wolf Team here says, like, alright, you change your tune. We're done dealing with that. We're done chewing through all of your thick hides after doing 1.5 hours of that just now.
I mean, yeah, this series actually has been going for quite a bit of time between the two teams, and we'll see if RoboZ is already playing something new. Draken might be forced into the same situation. Of course, Weaver, Zisa reprising his role across all 3 games. Very happy to make that happen. I am a bit concerned, though, for if they do go for the Draken Brewmaster again. It worked really well with Kunkka having all that chaos in the midst of one area of the fight. I wonder how it fares if there's a different hero in that situation. Now, with the ban on Puck, where are they going with this? They want to just make sure that obviously Invoker's going to have a good lane. They don't want to get locked down into a small area where Medusa can just rain damage on top of you. So I imagine it's going to be a support pick right now. At least get the hero for, like, is this going to be a 4 or 5 Snapfire? Or do you think they don't know just yet and they just want the hero already?
I don't think they know just yet. You can do basically anything with that. Cool Snapfire lanes are usually with the Mars, for example, not happening this time. You can go Pangolier. That's a big minus armor lane, very powerful, high kill pressure. But at the same time, if you see an offlaner that you want to play here that doesn't combine too well with the Snapfire, you just push her to 5. No, I guess I kind of saw that coming. Tavo doesn't really love his Pango.
Pango! So Chaos is certainly gonna still be a feature of this game, even if Balrogs don't go for Kunkka or the Brewmaster. But this time around, Tavo is gonna be the one that's bringing that Chaos. And we already saw in the last game just how good he can look when he has a way to get that forward initiation for himself. Obviously, the early Blink Dagger from Pango will help in that regard, but even without it, just having that kind of understanding of where to position a hero for maximum effect in a fight is something we've seen from Tavo across the series. Even in that game 1 that they lost, there was some excellent Ravages that came out. It just didn't work out to be enough. And for RoboZ, you were mentioning his spirits, it's going to be the Void Spirit. That's the option for them. A way to get to the backlines, a way to be able to at least catch Pango and kill him, but also another hero that can create a little bit more chaos in the mid game in particular.
Yeah, and I think this is especially a tool to do things like catch off the Snapfire, make sure that you interrupt her ultimate with your Remnant, or you can burst her straight up. You're not too bothered, like you're not likely to get locked down by the Pangolier in an awkward corner of the fight. You do very well versus the Invoker in lane. And combined with a Grimstroke now, you get a lot of initiation and damage out of this combination. Grimstroke great with the Weaver here as well. The Inkswell is going to do a lot of work this game, and later on, this also really fits their MO of making the biggest possible threat out of this Medusa, because with the Inkswell shard, you actually give her healing and a hard dispel, which is insane.
Yeah, definitely a lot of uptick that this Grimstroke is giving towards the team. And I'm just looking at how crazy these fights are going to look in the mid game. Also, I love one of the things about Grimstroke is being able to have Phantom's Embrace against Pango, stopping the roll. That little second that Pangolier is not tucking into the wall can really change the team fight, especially when you have heroes as mobile as Weaver, Void Spirit. Also, no matter what they pick for the safe lane, obviously HFN last game you played the Shadow Fiend. Now there is also the potential later on for a Dark Portrait Illusion to emerge. So you have to be very careful about what you pick, lest it be a hero that can just rinse your entire team as well. So I doubt, for example, that we'll see a Luna emerge at this point in the draft.
We go back for the SF. I don't think either of us were sold on it, right, last game? HFN for most of that, even though he managed to convert it into a win in the end, and he was truly a terrifying presence. It took him a long time to get there, and they're playing with another Invoker again. 2 cores that could just get ran at. And at some point, the Pangolier is just going to be running between the two of them, like, help. We can't kill people, and I can't save either of you either.
Yeah.
This is once again very momentum based, unless they switch this Invoker to support, but I haven't seen that in a hot minute.
Oh gosh, support Invoker? It could happen, but it's unlikely to. And another thing that, like you mentioned, he's going to have difficulty in the game, but also last game, having Doom, I think, also really made a big difference, because you at least had, we blink, we press R, one of your heroes isn't participating in the fight. They don't have like such a big, easy counterplay option in this game. And you know, as Medusa, the matchup for, we're talking about how Sven never gets the Shadow Fiend, like Shadow Fiend gets eaten alive, and we saw that a few times in the last game, but what started happening was just Sven could never get there anymore. Medusa doesn't really care about having to get to the Sven. At some point, Medusa will be like, one of us is standing our ground, and if it's me, you don't want that to happen. You're going to end up losing, my friend. Becomes a bit more complicated with this particular matchup, but still have supports for the 5 position to be picked for the side of our way, the Wolf team. Erstwhile for the Balrogs, we need an offlaner here. And what is left? They've taken out a lot of these heroes. Of course, the Brewmaster is still in the pool, though, if Draken does want to dip back for it. Do you think right now, looking at the lay of the land, that it's still a viable option for him?
Yeah, might even be just as good as before. He's going to be a beefy frontliner to work around for this Void Spirit. Something that the Medusa wants as well. Chaos for these team fights. I guess it's tempting here for example, the Doom gets banned out for our way, right? To get something that combos up better with the Grimstroke. But most of those options seem to be gone as well. I was chiefly thinking about the LC here. And honestly, as Balrogs, I feel like your options are so far open here. As long as you pick a beefy dude, you might even want to think about a... they're gonna go Beastmaster.
Okay. I suppose this still fits into the idea of having some kind of amp for the Medusa, give it the inner beast aura for that additional attack speed. One side of the map is always getting pushed in, so there's more space for Medusa to play the map, and we have BKB piercing disabled to apply towards either 4DN or HFN, but the last pick Dawnbreaker here coming in for Yadomi. So some additional support plays from Yadomi. Gonna get the Solar Guardian in this game, Selly Hammers just to try and open up as much space as possible. Does still feel like they're feeding into this idea of protecting and enabling HFN, but I think this made a lot more sense with Ogre than it does with Dawnbreaker. Keeping the hero alive feels markedly different than giving him attack speed to make him hit harder.
I do like the idea of being able to back him up wherever. I also think that this lane is slightly stronger. I haven't seen too much Dawnbreaker yet, but depending on HFN's build, and especially depending on how Dragon plays this lane, they might be able to snipe some boars here and there. Between the range damage of the SF and, of course, the Dawnbreaker's reach on her. Ooh, what's the ability again?
The Selly Hammer, the Q, yeah.
Yeah.
Celestial Hammer. Her spell names are so cool, but they're as cool as they are annoying to play against. Like, I never smile when I see Dawnbreaker. It's just like, oh, this is gonna be a nice little confusing game. And here we go, our way, the Wolf team. With that last pick Dawnbreaker, they're relying on her to give them not just the Game 3 win here in this series, but their first win in the South American DPC. The road to the upper division, the road to TI potentially starts now. Let's see what they've got. Game 3 is underway here, Kips. And I've refrained, right? I've refrained the whole day from asking you, but it has to happen now. Who you got for this third game?
Who I got for this third game? I really enjoy the Balrogs lineup. The only point of contention for me is the Beastmaster lane versus the SF. I don't know exactly if the Beastmaster can get as much presence out of that lane as he would want. But after that, all of the puzzle pieces seem in place for a great Medusa game.
Yep. Burner is certainly going to be trying to stack up in a position where he can carry as hard as he did in game 1. Did a stupendous job on this Medusa that time around. Let's see what can be achieved here. And I suppose the lane for him, you know, for the Beastmaster, life is going to be questionable against the Shadow Fiend. Certainly, you're not concerned about having to lane against the Pango side of the map here as this Medusa. Provided you just have the one hero next to you in this Grimstroke, you'll be fine. You'll get all the CS you want.
It's a dangerous lane though. This Grimstroke might die a couple of times. Do not underestimate the sheer amount of minus armor coming out from the little shredder, plus the lucky shot.
Tabo, speaking of one of those spells here, the lucky shot, they zone him away from this bounty rune. So yet again, Balrogs are on track to get themselves the... Well, no, last time it was actually the side of our way. And they're gonna get First Blood this time. Sexy running beneath the tier 1 tower, throws back a stroke of fate, gets a lot of heroes low. Tabo now is the one that's getting much lower. They need to turn though. Scatterblast comes back in, and Weaver with Sakuchi at the ready will be able to get away. A lot of HP, a lot of damage traded here around this mid lane. Ultimately, they still get the 3-for-1 trade on Balrogs, but it's not a clean trade. They get Sexy forced all the way back to base. On the bright side though, all of this means that Medusa did get largely a free wave here, so you'll at least be able to get a CS or 2 without having to worry about, oh god, I'm alone without Grimstroke nearby. And bottom lane, Yadomi, you were concerned about the presence of this Beastmaster, and they really vindicate these concerns, getting this early First Blood here from the Radiant lineup. The Wolf team are ahead. The Wolf team are trying to make a repeat of history by grabbing games 2 and 3.
And getting off to a good start here. Doubleborn now up though. HFN is going to have to consider how he trades here, but he's already got level 2. So he's got that first point in the Necromastery as well. He's going to start hitting harder and harder.
And the harder it gets with the right-click damage, the easier it is to really deal with these boars. You fear them a lot less at that point. We see Medusa though dying in the top. Oh my gosh. Alright, you were talking about it, that there is risk in this lane, but look how far up King RD went. Didn't even need Lil Shredder, just Scatter Blast underneath the tier 1 tower. They get the Medusa dead. And it doesn't look like King RD is going to even die for this either.
That is wild. I have no idea how that happened. And they're not opting for the minus armor lane here, by the way. Really making sure that they can push the lane instead, getting the Scatter Blast and the Swashbuckle. Potentially putting that Medusa under her tower, which will isolate the Grimstroke and make him easy food. But yeah, the Medusa has already offered herself up once, surprisingly.
They chow down on the snake. In real life, armadillos and pangolins in general can eat reptiles, so Medusa in a bad position from there. And this just doesn't really become easier as time goes on, right? If they've gone for this build of max harass already, and then they still go back for the negative armor, things can get a bit dicey there. So they're going to be quite reliant on what happens on other sides of the map, as King RD taking a lot of damage, jumps back in with the fire snap cookie, but him and Sexy are just saying hello to each other. And I say that until the Swashbuckle flies in from Tower with his shield crash, and they take out this Grimstroke, and they get this D-Ward at the same time. King RD, alrighty, doing a lot of work here in this early game on the Snapfire.
Very oppressive lane this, whichever way you take it. And Tava is going to be finishing off his Orb of Corrosion pretty soon.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Corrosion coming up. Alright, they need help. Well, not right now, but they need RoboZ to be doing well. Fortunately, he is. But they certainly cannot afford to have a game where also RoboZ is playing in this catch-up position if the side lanes are at this point in time not going as magnificently as they would want it to for the Balrog Esports lineup.
Luckily, he is up against the Invoker, so he has some tools versus the Harass. Of course, you are reliant on your bottle here for the regen, whereas the Invoker is never really going to go that, so he's always going to have an item advantage over you.
Okay.
And in the meantime, HFN just got run again on level 3. Like, I should have seen that coming.
It's kind of like clockwork it's been in this series, honestly. Once level 3 is hit, Draken makes a dive to try to bring down HFN and force the aggression on the side of the map, and works out again. He's not playing the Brewmaster, he's playing this Beastmaster, but it still does the trick. Gets him closer towards halving the Helm of the Dominator, and that also will begin the journey to Helm of the Overlord. And they wave clear, especially considering that HFN is not going to build into the Shadow Razors, as they quickly lose this Weaver down bottom. At the same time, 40R gets the grab and the kill in the river onto where this Weaver came in. Yo, things are looking really good right now for the Wolf team. This early start to the game, sure they ended up losing HFN, but in the grand scheme of things, given what they've gotten elsewhere, it just seems so good a start for them at this point. Oh no,
their lanes are not looking bad at all.
Oh god, about to lose his life. The Scatter Blast. King RD showing why he leveled up this ability. And he gets the kill onto Burner. That's the second death of the Medusa here, Kips. Not even 5 minutes into the game. And the side of Balrog Esports have lost Medusa twice. They've lost Beastmaster. And even Void Spirit, yeah, he's getting the good CS, but not having a phenomenal time in this laning phase. It is a rough start for them. Can they still recover despite the game looking this dire already?
Well, they can. Like, for example, this Beastmaster is going to have a better time now that he's got the Helm of Iron Will. That's going to help him out a ton versus the minus armor of the Presence of the Dark Lord. His lane has been salvaged. And they will have RoboZ rotating pretty soon. He just really needs this rune. And after that, they can definitely start killing HFN. We saw that in the previous game with a Kunkka and with a Void Spirit. You can definitely double down on that, especially because they are going to be pushing this bot lane into the bottom tier 1 tower again. Should make for a pretty easy TP rotation for RoboZ.
Speaking of this Beastmaster, actually, I was going to ask you before we saw that previous fight break out. Once Draken is able to pick up the full Helm of the Overlord, it doesn't strike me that they have that much wave clear like what they have when he gets Maelstrom eventually. As we see, he might get it off of this kill onto Sexy. Fire Snap Cookie's back, but RoboZ, first big rotation, able to burst away the Snapfire. Not only that, but with a double damage rune, gets a double kill. Certainly very happy with the first place he's gone on this map. And not just to get the kills, but to help out the top lane with this Medusa. We're starting to struggle, and now we'll be struggling no more thanks to the help of RoboZ.
Excellent. I mean, you always take those 2 kills over 1 bottom. It feels really nice. Now he gets to come back into the mid lane with his DD still going, mop up this push attempt by the Invoker, not even miss any of the 2 range creeps. He is loving life right now.
2 range creeps, a Siege Dragon, life is good. And you prevented them jumping top. You definitely are very happy about this as RoboZ. Makes life a lot easier for you. And what's the build up this game? I know we want Agnum Scepter at some point for the hero, but does he stop over at Yules first, or are we going one of those Sanj and Kaya games for the Void Spirit?
Might be a decent Sanj and Kaya game, yeah, but it might also be a decent rush game, honestly. You get so much out of the extra burst damage here. HFN looks like a dead man.
Yep, nothing you can do. The Inkswell though, potentially not on the right target, but it ends up not being important. HFN gets taken out. Yadomi, you don't have level 6, so there's no option for a Solar Guardian. Therefore, you are just gonna die. 2 heroes brought down. RoboZ yet again instrumental in some key rotations for Balrog Esports. And with the Medusa having already dipped back into the jungle, they don't have to really care that much that Tabo and King RD are sieging this top tower. You just have to be glad that RoboZ has been involved in 4 kills in the last 2 minutes. Definitely feels good to be him right now.
And he's got himself a great game. And now this Beastmaster with the Helm of the Dominator is on the bottom tower. He gets to trade for top. They are going to try to get Yadomi his level 6 here, which he will get with the death of his last creep.
Reinforcements though, Primal Roar thrown back out onto the Grimstroke, onto the Dawnbreaker, just to create space for them to escape. Sexy, will he be able to get out of dodge here? He's inside the trees, 40 odd does see him, but the Phantom's Embrace laid out before any spells could emerge. Swashbuckle from Tabo also won't connect. And Sexy, that was some really heads-up play from the Grimstroke. They managed to stay alive, move away from this. They forced out several TPs to this bottom lane without losing a single person.
And that's no earn charges for this Invoker yet. I feel like it's a story we've seen before with 4DR.
Definitely will need them in a dangerous place right now, getting slowed up by the Stroke of Fate. RoboZ is also closing the gap in. They have vision with the Sentry Ward here. And Tabo, he's rolling. Solar Guardian comes in from Yadomi. They managed to bring down the Grimstroke, but they need to start fleeing away from the fight right now. RoboZ goes in with the Dissimulate, unable to connect on to King RD. Tabo with a big shield crash does enough damage to this Weaver that it's not really viable to go back in. At the same time though, RoboZ has no such excuse, so will very easily turn his attention to the Snapfire. And King RD will fall. RoboZ will extend the streak to a dominating one, involved in 5 of his team's 6 kills. This Void Spirit is making all the action on the map happen, and he might even catch out HFN.
Ooh. Does he have all of the spells? He only has 1 step. This is not enough.
But they have the Inkswell. He jumps forward with this one. They will find the stun. They will find the right click. They will find the kill. And Balrogs, with on the back of RoboZ, they find another kill onto a core hero. HFN down for the count again. And unlike in the last game, where each time he dies, he's only really dealing with the Sven on the other side. This is a Medusa. And they're not done. RoboZ, are you kidding me, my friend? Inkswell crashing directly onto this Invoker. Stroke of Fate will connect onto 2. The Swarm Bugs will come out. RoboZ has an astral jump onto the high ground. Easily able to mop up the Invoker with the help of this Weaver. Tabo at the very least finds some revenge by taking out Sexy, but RoboZ, my goodness, just relax, my friend. It's only a game.
Oh, this is not a game for him. I mean, it might become a game for him. There's really nothing that Wolf Team can do against him right now. They don't have any good stunts to throw at him. Look at this rotation here again. They're not going to give away this tower for free.
Nope. They get the deny because, of course, RoboZ gets the deny. He's just doing everything today. Like, wow. I am very impressed by RoboZ.
Yep. This Invoker is queuing up. Oh, is that a Hex? He had an Orchid before. Because he knows that somebody needs to do something about RoboZ. but it's going to be quite a while, and he seems to actually have settled for it. Like, Hand of Midas, into Boots of Travel, into Hex. By the point he gets there, I don't think this is only RoboZ's game anymore. They're going to have to find something else.
Yeah. Speaking of RoboZ, oh no, he comes across 40R. The Tornado will not be good enough to keep him away because he has the Astral Step. Dragged him back with the Aether Remnant, but nobody nearby to fully help out. They don't have enough reveal either. And Morty's Kisses will now be flown in. Will they do enough to kill Sexy? It does seem to be the case. He throws out the Soul Bind first though. RoboZ though still very low to jump that deep in without having better information. At the same time, they're chasing down King RD. The Weaver doesn't want to go in for the last right click because the Swarm Bug will do the job for him. They managed to find that kill. Somehow they still haven't managed to take down this tower down bottom. These heroes from our wave, aka Wolf's team, keep coming down here to defend it. But surely this time, with the Siege Dragon, RoboZ here, Draken in the offing, you have to let this one go at some point.
Finally, they'll get to chew through that one. I mean, that was a bunch of space created for HFN though. We remember him dying a lot in the previous game during skirmishes like this, where his team couldn't make enough pressure. But as it turns out, if the enemy is chasing you and they're going after the side of the map where SF is not, he is actually safe on the other side of the map, instead of your team making the pressure and not putting enough of it on.
Probably helps a lot that he's farming in front of a tier 1 tower, so... And they have a very deep ward out into the dire jungle, giving him information on any of these heroes that rotate in, unless they're smoked, of course. But for now, it's been all good, fighting far away from him. He's gonna keep accruing farm. Oh, here's the quick... I've been trying to ask this so many times, so check this out, right? Helm of the Overlord comes out for this Beastmaster. Outside of Swashbuckle Maelstrom, since this SF is not going to go into the Razors build, where does the wave clear come from to deal with those armies of the Beastmaster?
I mean, the army not necessarily, but having big physical right-click damage is actually better to take down the big creeps than any kind of wave clear, because you're looking for concentrated damage. So it's not going to be the worst, but it is going to be risky that you need to put the SF in right-clicking range in order to do that. And in this game versus the Roar, like, either he's going to have to build a Lincoln's or somebody else is going to have to build something like a Lotus Orb for him, which is of course not a guarantee of survival, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it is a better tool than needing specific wave clear against it, but at the same time, you're putting yourself at a lot of risk here.
We've certainly seen what can happen when HFN is in those risky positions and risky situations. Hasn't always bode well for him and his team, but in this situation, in this game, things are still proceeding relatively okay. It is a 2k gold lead for the Balrogs Esports lineup, but by no stretch of the imagination is this game over. However, what is scary is look how far ahead this Dusa is getting. Burner is just obscenely farmed right now. Very far up, seeming to continue this trend. Has been allowed to just farm the jungle, and Top Tabo might end up dying here to RoboZ. Solar Guardian will emerge here to try and render some protection. It's going to be good enough that they do decide to retreat. Yaromi dives forward with the Selly Hammer. Not enough to really get the kill. Here comes the Rolling Thunder, but there's a Soul Bind. Big hard counter. Can't do anything. Sexy will die for this, but we've seen Sexy die many, many times in this series for his cause, and will gladly do it again.
That man knows exactly when to hold him and when to fold him, and this was definitely a fold situation.
Yep. Like, it's fine, yeah, I'll fold. But bro, we're on the river, it's fine. Fold it. It's cool. It's the right thing to do. So, looks like RoboZ also answered the question from earlier about the item build-up. He's going for the Sanjin Kaya. Does feel like it's going to be very effective in this game. Having that additional status resistance does change a lot, but will mean that he's going to have a little bit of delay until he has the Aghanim Scepter. So we might have a BKB or two out on the field for the Our Way Wolf team lineup by the time he's able to finish that. So we'll see how the game goes. Right now, the defense is for the tier 1 tower is on. They need to try and defend this, but wow, look at how much damage they've already put into this one.
And it's really only Burner hitting right now. Dudes are making short work of the tier 1.
Of course RoboZ gets it. Whatever, dude. You're not allowed to have a game this good, RoboZ. Calm down. 5-0-2. Denied his own mid tower. Gets the opposing one. They're about to have Sanj and Kaya. I would not put it past them to literally smoke immediately as soon as they get it. But they actually want to go now even. RoboZ.
It's not that big of a power spike. It's because most of the offensive capabilities come out of the Kaya.
He's jumping in right now, gonna show us those offensive capabilities with the Inkswell combination out onto 40R. Not gonna be enough to get the kill just yet because of the jump in with the Solar Guardian. But at the end of the day, Spirit Vessel dropped down onto the Invoker means that there's no healing coming from the Dawnbreaker. They've lost one. Tavo shows up with Rolling Thunder. Will he be able to find another target? But instead, he might become the target himself. Trying to jump back with the shield crash, but not enough protection offered. Inkswell now out onto King RD. He's gonna be chased down. Easy kill. RoboZ able to get on a wicked 6 kill streak right now. 3 heroes will fall in this fight. Our way thought they might be able to do something to try and save the Invoker, but by streaming in with their heroes, they just find themselves being targets themselves. Big fight for the Balrogs there, especially because Medusa, she took the tower and left. So while they were taking that massive fight, she was just quietly, calmly farming somewhere else. It's cool.
The tinkling of gold merrily in her ears while HFN was standing around. Like he was also farming, but he was definitely keeping one eye on that fight and stepping over to the side. Like, do I need to? No, okay, I'll hit a couple more of these, and that adds up in the long run.
Yeah.
It does. And man, I know you've already been heaping the praise over on RoboZ, but I want to get some in as well. Please don't let me curse him, by the way. But both his side lanes lost.
Yeah.
This man solo made up for that. They're 4k ahead in the transition out of the laning stage right now because RoboZ just nailed every single rotation.
Will be needed again though, as he is in a fight right now. They take out the Dawnbreaker very quickly whilst Burner needs assistance, gets taken away by the SF, and the Tavo Pango is rolling onto him. Unfortunately, they didn't have the Soul Bind to stop the Rolling Thunder. They didn't have the Primal Roar. Finally, something goes right for the side of the Our Way. They get the kill onto Dusa, the big target. Unfortunately, RoboZ was able to get the kill onto the young Dawnbreaker on the far side of the fight, but that's not really where the main engagement was happening. Not his fault though. How was he supposed to know that Tavo was in the area? So it's cool, it's fine. It's not a curse just yet. He's still okay. He's still a boss at this point. Like
yeah,
this.
I mean,
Look at middle.
I like that.
He's going in, getting this quick jump, and King RD not gonna end up dying, but RoboZ wise enough to get out of dodge. Oh, sexy though. Gets taken out by Tavo. What a quick response from Radiant side, and Our Way, the Wolf team. All right, they're gonna make this a game for us right now. They decide that, you know, we're tired of just getting rolled in all of these fights. We're gonna punch back a little bit ourselves.
I mean, part of it is definitely that the items are coming in for their side lanes now. Tavo does not have to play as careful anymore because he has the gold for his Maelstrom and he's bringing that in right now. And that's going to be very sad for most of this Beastmaster's army, even though the Overlord is coming and Tavo won't be able to do much against an Ancient creep on his own.
Tavo. Once he gets this Blink Dagger, I'm worried, Kips, that we have a similar situation that we saw in Game 1, where Balrogs are able to play this aggressive style, getting into the faces of the Wolf team until Tavo gets Blink, and then suddenly we saw what happened in the last game is literally the second after he got the Blink Dagger.
And Roshan?
Alright, big man's getting fought. Oh, he managed to kill Yodomi. Is Yodomi gonna die here? No, the Requiem! It fears Roshan away, buys time for the Dawnbreaker to use the Selly Hammer to get out. However, all these heroes are now a little bit low. Expended some resources here. Stone Gaze, though, was committed as well from the Balrogs lineup. So they certainly don't want to do anything too risky here. Yodomi will not get caught in by this Inkswell. Able to Selly Hammer down the hill. And they still remain alive in this situation. Balrogs desperate to try and get control of this Roshan area. They know that they can't easily take it themselves, at least not just yet. Only right now. Oh, we've actually got level 4 Swarm and Medallion. All right, never mind. We can take this, but can we take it fast enough that we avoid the fights is the question.
They did get the wave as well. I think one of the things that I'd really rather wait for is the Soulbind. They have the Roar at the ready for a Pango roll, but if they get forced to spend it on something else, suddenly their entire team fight is shot. They kind of want to have both options.
Soulbind with Primal Roar, potential for double roar. And Butterfly up now for the Medusa. We're of course going to be very far away from an MKB or anything of the like emerging from our way. As we see a quick fight going on to HFN. He doesn't have BKB, so they're trying to force this fight before he has that defense. Spirit Vessel is out onto him from the Weaver, and it's good enough to get the kill. No more SF. Weaver dies happily to make that trade. Will be a killing spree ended. However, HFN, without a life being available, suddenly everybody else is trying to flee. RoboZ jumping forward. They get the Inkswell stun out onto King RD. Doesn't manage to find the Aether Remnant just yet. It's a little bit off the mark, so the Fire Snap Cookie might protect him. The Phantom's Embrace will be there. RoboZ might be chasing too deep here. Does have a Dissimulate. Aether Remnant gonna be good enough, so he can dissimulate to safety instead. And they made a very deep jump with RoboZ, but it ends up being worth it. HFN down, Snapfire down, and now the path to Roshan finally Kips is open.
Wide open. Honestly, that dive was so deep that it kind of helped them from going to the Roshan for a while longer. It could have gotten cut off. And in fact, because it took so long, HFN is now back.
HFN out here, throwing in the right clicks, manages to find the kill onto Sexy. They will trigger out the Stone Gaze to ensure that they can pick up this Aegis. Yaromi jumped into the pit, gonna tank quite a few right click damage of her. Oh, not gonna be able to get out in time, and they end up losing the Dawnbreaker. Tavo now finds himself in a bad place as he's been hit with the Primal Roar indirectly from RoboZ with a major right click from Burner. They find that kill, and Balrogs Esports, I think we're having deja vu of game one, because Burner is feeling himself at that level, and especially RoboZ, honestly. 10-0-5 right now on this Void Spirit, just making everything happen for his team. Like up to and including happily diving bases and still being able to track back for the fight in time.
Absolutely incredible. The one thing that Wolf Team have going for them here, you can see here, the Invokers had a pretty decent game. And look at this damage!
Morty's Kisses do a good job. They take away this Aegis. This could be quite good. There's no BKB. Requiem will come out. Solar Guardian will be there as well from Yaromi. They're closing the gap. They really want this Medusa. Will they be able to save her? No, they cannot. RoboZ, though, looking for some degree of revenge or just escape. Soulbind's been out on the Invoker and the Shadow Fiend. Everybody else from Balrogs will endeavor to escape. They might catch Draken here, though. Tavo, will he be able to catch up to him with the Rolling Thunder? Should be able to. First hit is on. They've got him. Sunstrike not even needed as they find the kill with Tavo's Swashbuckle. So signs of life. They lose out the Aegis, but they make sure not just to take the fight afterwards, but they defend this here to tower middle. They get kills on several important heroes, including Medusa, and they clean up the Beastmaster army on top of getting the kill on the hero himself.
Yep, a couple of big things happening there. One of them is HFN showing up with this BKB, finally untouchable by the Void Spirit, who is the biggest threat in this game. And next to that as well, this was not a fight that started like all the previous fights started, where RoboZ picks somebody off immediately and throws everything into disarray. This was a siege situation. And in a siege situation, the team fight abilities of Wolf Team get to line up really nicely. They get to pick everything out without having to react to one of their heroes immediately getting disabled. So it looks like Balrogs are going to need to eke themselves out a bit of a bigger item advantage before they can try doing that again.
Sometimes in Dota 2 it happens that you are a bit too far ahead. Not far ahead enough that you can just crush the game, but far ahead enough that it breeds some overconfidence. And Balrog Esports will have to slow things down a little bit, get more farm for Burner, and just like in game one, not being shy about buying BKB on this Medusa. Saw what happened after their Requiem play in middle, so realizes that this is the only available counterplay for him in terms of itemization. But on the other side though, scary things are happening because the double BKBs are up. Now 40R also has access to one. Between the double BKBs and Tavo's Rolling Thunder, he's even going for the early Aghanim Shard. We're yet again going to have a situation like in game 2 where Balrog Esports will struggle to just have the free play that they had available to them before the BKBs were available.
And it especially matters for RoboZ. Another target escapes. Right. Not only is he going to have to wait with going on the course until the end of the fight because he has no way to stop them from BKBing, so he will have to pick off supports. That means that the rest of his team is going to be fighting the enemy course face to face now. We saw the Medusa not quite hold up there. But also, after this, the Invoker finally has space in his build to get to that Hex that he's had queued up since minute 5.
Oof. It's been a long time coming, a long road. But for the belief might pay off. We'll see if their belief pays off during the smoke movement though. Weaver almost came close to being able to break it, but looks like our way are content to break it themselves. They haven't found a viable target, so they're just going to dip back into their own jungle, keep farming in that direction. It has been really, really scary times for this Invoker of 40R, but he's done a really good job. Avoided dying too many times, only the 2. And now they might want to take a fight top. HFN is in with the BKB, and look at the right-click damage out onto Sexy. Woo! There used to be a Grimstroke somewhere around here. Somebody sent out a search party because Sexy just got sheerly right-clicked. At the same time, though, that was the 8-second BKB charge. I suppose HFN will take it, but that has to be very worrying going forward about the prospect of these supports surviving the fight while BKB is active.
And now we enter this kind of standoff where the team that gets a good jump can take the entire team off the basis of the right clicks of their carry. But if that doesn't happen, then you're in for a world of hurt.
We're getting some jump from Draken. He's bringing in a Blink Dagger right now, so we'll have the Blink. I don't think there's that many 4-stars on the side of our way. I've seen the one on King RD, but I think... Oh no, there's 2. Okay, so the 2 4-stars will actually be really effective against this Blink Primal Roll. And we might see its effectiveness come now, because the fight potentially could be on the top lane. Tavo gets scouted out first inside the trees. They should be able to clean up his life. Easily happening with RoboZ showing off this Aghanim Scepter. Nice kill to get on this Pangolier. Forces back the rest of the Our Way Wolf team lineup. They're not going to be allowed to pursue this fight really. Although HFN does go for this MKB, picked it up very early on. Wants to be able at all stages of the game to right click against this Deucer. And like you said, if he knows that he has to go directly up against her 1v1, he needs to make sure that he's as strong following the game as he was in the previous fight that they had here in this mid lane.
She's got that BKB though. Now back on her track towards that Skadi, and that BKB is going to matter, especially versus the Invoker. We saw the amount of work that EMP did on her, how much of her effective HP she loses when that mana shield gets taken away like that. So this is a big moment for her, and it's going to make her a much, much harder target.
What? Are you kidding me? Look what she just picked up. Like seriously? A Titan Sliver for Medusa? Okay, that seems 100% fair to me. I see no problem with this. And I know that you are legendary, Kips, for your love of neutral items and how much you think they improve the game of Dota 2.
I think that the passive ones aren't even the worst. I think the passive ones are a demonstration of the inherent design problems, which is that a neutral item can either do something and therefore be imbalanced because of interactions, or it can do nothing really noticeable like the Titan Sliver, and then what is it adding? Well, happiness to the carry's heart in this case.
There's no happiness in the heart though of RoboZ, and it's getting gone on. Needs to jump away. He's still alive in the midst of this fight though. There's a Soulbind out onto Tavo, not allowing this Rolling Thunder to be super effective in this area. They've already taken out the Dawnbreaker. The damage though out onto Zisa. They get the kill onto the Weaver. RoboZ trying to get out of the fray, still alive right now. So they just end up trading supports here in this little fray, this little fracas that ends up happening around the side of the map. Medusa wasn't involved in it. Everybody from our way was, however. So that is going to be...
40R once more.
We get more. Does get catch onto Sexy. However, there are support heroes nearby to be able to render assistance, and they will not allow 40R to chase down their very, very, very sad Grimstroke, but who's also carrying very precious cargo. The Gem of True Sight. Losing it at this stage of the game against the Invoker would be just terrible, terrible. So, great job from them to keep him alive. Still, this game is
would have been absolutely disastrous. Meantime, I've been watching RoboZ build up his bank account. He was at 2.4k gold before he actually queued up this BKB. I think it's for the best. He would ideally want something like maybe a Hex, maybe an E-Blade, really increase his offensive potential again now that he's reached his soft cap here. But unfortunately for him, if he does not go BKB up versus the Orchid that's now on the Invoker, did not go for the Hex in the end. Interesting. He is going to die. He has had such a free game up until now that it would be an absolute shame if he didn't keep that game free.
Yeah.
And itemized greedily.
Certainly he understands that the reason he's been as effective as he is because of the freedom of movement that he's had in the fight, so it's an item that's going to allow him to keep that same freedom. For the side of 40R, now that he does have Orchid, you know, I was actually kind of hoping that he'd get this Hex, especially against the Medusa, but Orchid will still serve a very viable function, at least until the BKB emerges for RoboZ. Shouldn't be too far away at this point. They're not about 800 gold, and HFN been hit with the primal roll. They're going in with the stone gaze, but Tabo interrupting all of this with the rolling thunder. HFN teeping out. He doesn't want to be involved in this anymore. At the same time, they manage to take out 40R. RoboZ catches down the Invoker. King RD, can he get himself out of here? No, he cannot. Loses his life as well. And RoboZ really wants Yaromi. They have vision with the Swarm Bugs. Won't be able to chase that deep though. Ultimately, the big prize was picked up on the life of 40R. That's going to lead into them grabbing a tier 2 tower as well. And depending on how long they spend in this area, they might get lucky enough and wander into the pit just as the big man respawns.
Huge possibility, and Rolling Thunder is going to be down for a little bit, but even then it doesn't matter because the Soulbind is still up. This Wolf team is in a disastrous position right now.
Very sad place as Roshan comes back. Burner still going to be content to siege this high ground. Are they going to try force a buyback here from this Invoker? With this 5v3, they might not know that the Grimstroke isn't here, but Awe still are not going to try and pursue a fight. As the usage of the Glyph of Fortification will emerge though, they realize, yeah, it's a good time to back off. Simultaneously, Awe, the Wolves team, recognize that they need to try and do something right now, while Balrog is not really aware of what's happening, and they found RoboZ. Can they find this kill? It's all important, but no! He's still on, he's still alive, he gets off with the spider legs. Sexy will die, but looks like he's pawned off the gem to somebody else, so it's not going to be that big of a deal if he loses his life. BKB popped now by the Medusa. Oh no, they found HFN, but the double force gloves getting him as far away from this Beastmaster as possible. Unfortunately though, 40R got himself stone gazed through the BKB, so he ends up losing his life. HFN on the high ground triggers off the Requiem, sends back the Weaver, and they manage to squish the bug. But the more important targets should be able to escape here. RoboZ with the spider legs, and the escape is on for this Void Spirit. Absolutely no way to catch up, and he finishes the BKB in the process. And while Invoker's dead, they're like, oh, this might be a good time to go say what's up to Roche. Invoker forced to buy back instantly, but even if they don't end up getting this Roche, Balrog Esports now can just position around this area, wait for the fight to come, because our way, the Wolf team, do not want to have bought back for nothing on 40R.
There's a BKB on RoboZ now. Balrogs have the vision advantage here with the Boars, with the Hawks.
Roche is dying really quickly though. They need to do something soon if they want to try and stop this. Buyback will come in, and they're actually going to smoke Kips. They want to take this fight. They know that if they find 40R, they can get the dieback out. Draken has Blink Primal Roar in another 5 seconds. Soulbind is already on. Will they find something? RoboZ? His smoke will pop. Doesn't want to get involved anymore. Will decide to back a little bit. Tabo going in. Rolling Thunder. They catch out Burner. Will they be able to get out the Primal Roar? Yes, they do. HFN stalled out in position. RoboZ jumping him as well as the Soulbind onto the Shadow Fiend and Pango. Both of them gonna get eviscerated. Now 40R recognizing how alone he is. Needs to flee away from this fight. Doesn't want to die back, but unfortunately can no longer render assistance. As they give up the ghost, they run away. Balrog Esports will claim the Roshan. What a reward for what an amazing fight for themselves.
Loving the positioning on that Medusa there in that little corner where she's sure Tavo can get her. And then when the Grimstroke is finally in a good enough position and they got both Tavo and HFN where they want them, double link, nothing they can do anymore. Devastating.
The crazy thing for me about that fight was Burner was also 3 seconds away from having Stone Gaze when they jumped him. And if they had the additional disable without the Soulbind coming in, it might be a time where you start to believe that Burner is still mortal, but it's proven to not be the case. And now without buyback on either Tavo or HFN, this feels like at least 2 lanes of Rax here with how quickly this army can help them push.
HFN had buyback before that fight. He bought out, I believe, for the MKB.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. So now without any access to this SF, they're making this push happen. EMP Burn will be there with Tornado, but it will not be nearly enough to dissuade Burner and the gang. They will take the second lane of Rax. They will put themselves ahead. They are here rewriting history. They lost in the first qualifier matchup, but in the opening matchup of the DPC, they're not that far away, Kips, from securing the total victory for themselves. They just have to play this siege very, very carefully.
Yep, and that would mean a win over basically SG Esports. These guys are expecting to be in the upper division next tour. If they lose this one here and Balrogs plays a good enough season, they won't be. Balrogs can keep them out.
My goodness. Truly a scary time. I mean, maybe they get in on the second slot, you know? It'll be fine.
It's possible.
But you're definitely correct that just looking at the names on the roster, you just think SG Esports, they should just be, you'd like they should automatically just be in, but it's not working out for them right now. They are having a rough time here in this third game. They were able to get into qualifiers in the quote-unquote easy route, but Balrogs clearly has taken positive lessons from all the games they've now played against the side of the Wolf team. Now it really comes down.
This siege situation, man. There's an Aghanims up on his Weaver now. We gave him quite a bit of farm priority. Yeah.
Okay. Jeffet. He's gonna tank a couple right clicks here from Burner. Burner can siege forever. Oh, the fourth door forward. They want the primal roll. They catch it onto the shadow feed. Soulbind out onto the Panther as well. Tarbo's gone. HFN's about to follow him. Silenced up before he can even trigger the Requiem. And with no lives left, no buybacks available, they can do nothing to try and help defend this. In fact, they can do nothing at all. They call it GG, well played is cleared. And Balrog Esports take game number 3. They take the series. They get their first win here in the South American DPC lower division. Woo! Cheer, Kips. What a performance from them in this third game.
They are really flexing, and the biggest flex of all is, of course, RoboZ's performance in this game. What an absolute masterclass at picking your rotations, game instinct, choosing your battles, 15-0-7. This was definitely the RoboZ show.
Yeah, it's like you said in the game. We had lost lanes on both sides of the map. Both at top and at bottom, and not just lost in the traditional we're being outfarmed sense. No, we're being killed sense. It was not looking good.
Yep.
RoboZ by himself says, team, I would prefer to win this game, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and get this W. Clutch rotations to the top lane to find a double kill, clutch rotations down bottom to do the same, and it just kept happening over and over and over and over and over again. Wow, RoboZ, I have a feeling he's not going to be allowed to play much Void Spirit in the upcoming matches here in the lower division of the DPC, because a performance like this, how on earth are you supposed to play against this even?
I mean, it picked different heroes. Definitely the fact that the Invoker had to itemize against him and only got to the Orchid all the way at the end of the game was a bit of a problem. But you gotta also give credit where credit's due, right? Both of these supports throwing themselves at the enemy, getting vision for RoboZ, eagerly dying for these kills that allowed their core to snowball. It just felt like Balrogs as a team really had their game plan together this time around.
Absolutely. They knew exactly what to do. They had a very clear idea of where things were going. And of course, Burner was back on the Medusa. Obviously, it wasn't the standout performance that we saw from game 1 on this Medusa, but he didn't have to put out a standout performance. Just had to be a basic Medusa, not dying much, standing her ground and right-clicking people type of situation. And another shout out for the supports is how often Sexy was able to find the Soulbind, not just onto Tavo, but onto Tavo plus HFN, allowing Burner to just sit there, turreting away with the damage that comes in from this Medusa.
It must have felt good to play this game as Balrogs, even though they got beaten back twice with the Medusa standing up front a little bit too far. They just go back, they reset, and in the end, they get themselves a beautiful, polished victory.
Whew. Balrogs. Their first game here in the lower division of the South America DPC, and they come out with this W. They come out ahead of what used to be SG Esports. Wolf team definitely was being looked at as the best team here in the lower division. That certainly will not be the case now. Balrogs, decisive victory, and will definitely be favoring themselves in any other game if they can push the Wolf team to this degree, take them into a victory. Certainly going to be a team to watch. So the fact that they're here, the fact that they came up from the qualifiers, not a mistake by any stretch of the imagination. But now we are done. We are finished. With this game being concluded, the Balrogs will walk away very happily with their victory, keep it, and continue to learn, continue to train, because it's not like things get much easier. You know, you might say, oh, you've beaten the best team, but we've seen time and time again in the DPC that allowing yourself to rest on your laurels is ultimately a recipe for disaster. So congratulations to Balrogs. We hope to see stellar performances like this from them again. RoboZ, I think undoubtedly our MVP for this series, right? Especially after this performance.
Absolutely.
Amazing stuff. We are now finished. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and our NB comrades for joining us on this 3-game journey. And before we sign things out, Empress Kips, I want you to have the final word for what we... Please send us home after all the action that we've seen here today.
Oof, that is a rough one, because that was certainly a lot of action. All I can say is buy BKB, guys, and stay hydrated.
Buy BKB, stay hydrated, and we will make sure you're still following the channel here on Epulze Gaming. Make sure not just to follow the channel. If you don't know exactly when any of the games are going to be going live, hop on over to Twitter, follow @Epulze Gaming there, and you will have exact information about every single time that this DPC will be happening. It is still the beginning. Things are still going to be heating up, so you don't want to miss out on any of that action. Make sure that you're following Kips as well on Twitter so you can receive more of her wisdom and knowledge on a day-to-day basis. And of course, make sure you're following me as well. And until the next game, until the next series, this has been Snare and Kipspul. This has been Balrog Esports with the victory over Wolf's team. And this is the South American DPC lower division. We will be back. We love you. And don't go anywhere ever. Stick on the channel for some Dota 2 action. Until then.